And tonight's special guest is Jason with a D. Jason.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing? I have some general questions here. My first question is, where did you come up with the name Jason? I mean, I saw in the preview video, in the promo video, that you had a big clusterfuck. Basically, is the way you put it.
It's actually stolen from George Bernard Shaw.
Oh, okay.
He did this thing where he came up with a spelling for fish that doesn't look like fish at all, and he basically just took the odd... English is a very strange language.
Yes, it is.
And written, we have a lot of rules that make up sounds that don't correspond to what they normally look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically phonetically spelled my name following the rules of George Bernard Shaw by taking like the D and the G from words like wedge and edge to make the J sound for Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it's spelled out using the different rules, and it is perfectly it's within the rules of English.
Yes.
That the way it's spelled would be pronounced Jason. It's just that lots of people don't think about the language that they speak and write. And once people know what the key is, then they can usually see it. But it became easier just to say Jason with a D rather than saying Jason and having to do that long explanation all over and over again.
Yes. Yeah, I like the way you said this has been Jason with a D, and it's like, yeah, I was like, oh, that's a nice little tag you got on there. So.
Yeah.
My next question, are you religious, or were you ever religious? And if you aren't religious anymore, how did you come to your non-belief?
No, I mean, I was never... I would say that I went through the natural process of belief to disbelief. In other words, I didn't have parents that were telling me what to believe. I didn't grow up in an overtly religious household. I was baptized, but that was because my grandmother was severely Catholic. But most of my family was fairly secular. They did not, quote unquote, you know what? They believed what I think most Americans believe.
Mm-hmm.
They believe in, air quotes, something.
Right.
They're not definitive about what that something is. Sometimes they say, I believe that there's someone watching over us, or I believe that there is a point to the universe, or something like that.
Right.
But they don't pin it down to Yahweh or Jesus or Buddha or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd still count themselves as being spiritual. I didn't do that. I grew up as a little kid believing in God and believing in what they were, but as I got older and I learned more and I figured things out on my own, eventually, around, I would have to say 25, I just said, yeah, there's no... I honestly... I went hardcore atheist, where I said, there is no God at all. Durr.
You became anti-theist at that point.
But as I developed more of a scientific bent, I realized just from a scientific standpoint that is a statement that I cannot prove. I cannot scientifically state for fact that there is no gods or gods. There could be a god, and that god's plan is, I'm going to make everything look as normal as possible, and I'm completely invisible. But we wouldn't ever be able to find him. But I cannot disallow the unbelievably small percentage. If you listen to real scientists, they never give you absolutes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They give you ranges of percentage high. We highly, there's a high probability, low probability. No scientist makes you a promise.
Right.
Okay? And so I decided that is the way I approach my life. So I'm going to say that I'm a skeptic, rather than saying that I'm an atheist. And what a skeptic means is that I have not found any evidence to support the belief in gods or gods or supernatural beings at all whatsoever. However, I must allow for an incredibly small percentage of them actually existing.
So basically,
in some form.
I'm sorry. So basically, all right, if you've ever watched the TV show like The Atheist Experience, for example, if they ask you, do you believe in a God? And if the answer is no, then you're an atheist. You can be an agnostic atheist, but you're still an atheist at that point. So
no, my answer cannot be that clear cut.
No. Well, I understand that.
It may make it seem like, okay, you're skirting. I'm not skirting the thing. If someone says, do you believe in a God? I have to answer, I don't think that there is enough evidence for me to make decisions based on the idea that there is a God or gods.
Well, that you'd be an agnostic atheist, which is fine. I mean, there's a lot of you can be agnostic on a lot of things. Agnostic is more of a term of knowledge, and said you basically said that you said you have no knowledge of the fact of there not being a God. Then that would be agnosticism right there.
I mean, I have to apply that. If someone said, "Is the sun going to rise tomorrow?"
Mm-hmm.
I would say most likely.
Right.
Because there's a very slim possibility that it won't.
Right.
That something terrible will happen.
Yeah, a black hole coming from the right angle plane of the northern hemisphere of the I don't know. I'm making shit up at this point, but could fly into our sun and we'd all be done in a matter of hours. So
exactly. So I mean, it's kind of like people say, "Oh, well, you're splitting hairs. You know the sun's going to come up tomorrow." And I said, no, I have a very, very, very strong belief based on facts and history that the sun will come up tomorrow.
Right.
So that I will make plans.
Mm-hmm.
But I will not say for a fact that it will, because I don't know for a fact that it will. If I did know for a fact, I'd be God. And that's the difference.
Exactly.
So I bristle a little bit when I hear atheists say, I know for a fact God does not exist, because ta-da, you've become just as dogmatic as the people who say, I know for a fact that God does exist.
Yeah, those are the people who say dogmatically that there is no God. Sometimes I fall into that camp myself. But those aren't so much atheists, or they're anti-theists. That's a whole other spectrum there. But anyway, another quick question here. What do you do for your inspiration for your videos? I mean, and is there any videos or channels out there that you really like other than, Packard Pokes At?
It's Kester's Glue.
Kester's
the orange
glue?
kind, not the blue kind.
Okay.
And I just put that in a paper bag and breathe it for about 3 hours. And then I have a show at the end. It's awesome.
Is that how it works? I should start doing that before these shows. I might actually have a funny show.
Inspiration comes from practically anywhere. What I think a few people realize, but not everyone realizes, is that Opinionville is a satire on the both the theist, atheist, whatever you want to call it, community on YouTube. And so I draw my inspiration from that community most of the time, or when people send in topics.
Right.
It's one of the reasons why I can't usually be pinned down for supporting one side of an argument to another. People do know that I am not pro theist agenda.
Right.
In other words, I'm not going to defend stupid positions.
Right.
I will defend a theist's right to believe what they want to believe.
Right, exactly.
I do not believe it is my right to walk up to someone and say, you're an idiot and you're going to believe what I'm going to believe. Now get in that camp and don't come out until you believe what I believe, Grandma.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my topics come from the videos I watch for what's going on in the world, and from topic suggestions when people send in stuff.
No, that's cool.
I have to say about 65 to 75% have been topic suggestions.
Cool. My next question here is, how do you go about producing your videos? What do you do to edit them and film them?
It is a week-long process. Generally, I will sit down and write the first draft of the script on Monday. Mm-hmm. And then I give it a day, overnight to let me think of other things. Then I do what's called a punch-up, and then I will rewrite the script, put in new jokes, maybe even change the entire direction of where the main skit is going. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm creating all of the JPEGs for the shout-out section, and any pictures or specials that I need for the episode itself. And filming is on Wednesday, and that's usually filming it is actually the shortest part of the entire process. I'll usually have that down in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
And then editing, I have to compile and convert everything on Wednesday night.
What do you use? What do you use to do that? I mean, what programs do you use, and what kind of computer do you use?
I have a self-built, so I just kind of cobbled it together over the years and pulled out drivers and stuff like that. I don't have anything terribly sassy. I don't like Mac.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't like Mac products.
I have both Mac and Windows machines here myself, but
but the programs I currently are using is, let's see, I believe it or not, I still do a good part of my editing using um, Microsoft Movies.
Really? Microsoft Movie?
Yeah, the Windows Movie Maker.
Oh, Windows Movie Maker. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that one.
I still do generally a final edit on that. I will upgrade eventually, but it's just a matter of time. Because if I have to learn something new, then it means stopping production. Because I am the only, basically the only person there. I also edit on what's called Wondershare, which is a video editor. It also converts all of my files.
Okay, and then you convert them to movie file or AVIs.
To AVIs.
Okay, all right. I was just kind of curious about that. Also, how did you get into making YouTube videos and other YouTube? I kind of mentioned that before. And the YouTubers out there that you check out that you like the most.
When I first started, I was watching, Thunderfoot and Bionic Dance and The Amazing Atheist and people like that. And the more I watched, the more I was like, I have my own opinion. So I started making a series called Blog Tunes, which was animated. Mm-hmm. And even though it was the simplest of animations, it would take me a week and a half to just do one episode. And so then I started finally got a video camera, a cheap little Sony Bloggy, and then I started putting myself in the videos. And I would have to say about 2 months after starting doing that, Imaginary Gary made his first appearance. And what I realized from that point is with what I wanted to do, I'm a playwright. So I like writing scripts. I'm better at writing dialogue than I am monologues.
You can start writing for this show because we have no writers on. I just say whatever falls out of my mouth, actually.
But since it was easier for me to write
mental
dialogue,
diarrhea.
That's what it is, yes.
Yeah. I didn't want to play every character and put on makeup or a mustache or something like that. It was easier for me to just act out these short little skits with puppets. Mm-hmm. And gradually, over the last 3 years, the number of puppets has increased. My proficiency at filming and getting everything done has gone up. And the
more you do it,
that's basically how it's gone.
Yeah, the more you do it, the faster you get at it.
Yeah.
How many puppets do you have currently?
I think 20, maybe.
20. Wow.
Maybe, yeah,
wow.
Around there. There are lots of puppets that have only made 1 or 2 appearances, and there's the big four, and the big four are Puppet Jason, Fundy Monster, Imaginary Gary, and AJ. Those are the 4 that almost always appear every week. Mm-hmm. And then there are the guests.
And don't forget Oswald. He makes an appearance almost every week.
Well, Oswald does, but he's not part of the big 4.
Oh, is it really? Oh, really? I would have thought he was
not. The big 4 are the 4 that have always met at that conference table to argue.
I see what you're saying. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I confused me there.
Oswald was a side character who now makes an appearance every week because everyone loves him, and also because the shout-outs are shared between him by audience demand. They kind of wanted him to always be on the shout-outs. Mm-hmm. So he became a permanent part of that.
Oh, absolutely. He's very... I like the persona. I like the fact that I was like, Packard, I'm going to kill you. How dare you tell him that I forgot my...
What was it?
The headset. I asked about the headset.
Oh, the headset, right.
And he's like, oh, Packard, you foiled my plan or some shit like that. I just forget what it was, but...
Well, I wanted to stick a sweet character in with all of these cynics and crackpots and jerks, which is what they are. I think the reason why people like that, I think one of the reasons is that underneath all of their fighting, the core group really does love each other. Mm-hmm. And that was a balance that was hard won. But I'm glad to see that it's there and that people appreciate it.
Oh, that's cool. I have one more quick question, and I'm going to get one from that I got from the channel real quick here.
Okay.
What do you do outside your YouTube persona? What do you do for work? You don't have to give the name of the company or anything like that, but what kind of...
I work for a telecommunications company.
Cool. You've been listening in with the NSA, right?
That's exactly right. That's right, Packard.
That's where you get all this great material from.
You want to know what you had for dinner last week?
Yeah. I don't remember what hell it was.
I got pictures.
Good.
So you weren't furloughed, right? You're still spying on us? Good.
There's a reason why I'm not furloughed. No, I do work for a very large company, a very, very large telecommunications company, and a bunch of office workers that have known for a long time that I'm very strange, and know that I do this at work. And eventually it is going to have to move to the home simply because it's starting to take more and more time, and I'm not happy with the sound quality that I'm getting at work, and I would like to move it to an actual more of a soundstage kind of something that I could set up.
Wait a minute. You make your videos at work?
Yeah, on my breaks.
Yo, that's badass.
And I actually film them. I actually film them on my breaks.
How long do you get a break? An hour, half hour?
I get an hour total.
Really? And you get a whole film set done up in 1 hour?
I will get in to work about a half hour early, so that gives me an extra half an hour. And if I really want to, I'll stay a little bit later and film.
Wow.
But it was just more convenient
are
for me
outside
to
the
do
door
it.
like he's in there playing with his puppets again.
People walk in. There's plenty of outtakes of people walking in.
Really?
While I'm filming the segment, yeah.
You should put some of those outtakes up because
That's epic.
That'd be epically funny. That'd be epically funny. Okay, I have a quick question from on YouTube from I can't pronounce his name. CHTHON665. He says,
Cathone, no, it's Cathone 665.
Cathonus, okay.
Flatmate of the Beast.
Okay. Well, almost a beast. He's 665, so.
Yeah.
He says, Dear D.D. Jason, are you aware of the British comedian and folk musician Mike Harding? And it says to get acquainted, I recommend you watch. He's got a link there. I won't give the link over there.
He asked me this question earlier, and I've never heard of him. And it's really funny because my younger brother's name is Mike Harding, and he's a musician.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah.
How is that for a coincidence?
Yeah. No, but I'd love to hear his stuff.
Yeah, well, he gave a link, so you get a chance to look at it
Cool.
sometime. All right, I'm going to turn over to the peanut gallery here, as it were, my co-hosts. Joe, what are your questions for Jason with a D?
Jason, I love your puppets. I think they're
thank
excellent. Yeah, they're really... I love the design, the colors. They're really good. And I also love Jim Henson's Muppets.
Yeah.
You do as well, right?
Yes, very much.
Of course. Great. So I wanted to ask you, despite Kevin Clash's fall from grace, did you ever see the documentary called Being Elmo?
Yeah, I did.
And if so, what did you think of it?
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Kevin Clash, despite the current scandal, that's the only way I can describe it. Is a very talented puppeteer, and it really shows the drive that he had from a very young age to do exactly what he wanted to do. And you'll find that a lot of professional puppeteers are like that. They knew very early on that that's what they wanted to do. I was trained as an actor, and I've always liked puppets. I like playing with puppets, but this is the first time I've ever actually used puppets as an art form in order to perform what I'm writing. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm doing it, I really appreciate the art form of puppetry much more. Because it is a very, for me at any rate, it is a very odd experience to literally turn a part of yourself into something alive. It's amazing when you have a puppet and if you have a puppet and you're sitting there and they can see you and they can see that you're operating the puppet, and the puppet starts talking to someone, they start talking to the puppet.
I've seen that. That's really it's a little
universal.
Weird. Yeah, I've seen that. That's really
strange.
Because
the mind readily accepts that it's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I can equate it with is that people want to meet the puppets, and they treat the puppets as if they are living creatures. And I think one of the reasons why puppets are better than cartoons is that you can actually meet these characters. You'll never meet Bugs Bunny.
Right.
Ever. As much as I would love to be able to meet Daffy Duck and shake his hand and thank him for all of the entertainment, I know that Daffy Duck is comprised of several million celluloid pieces of celluloid. He doesn't exist anywhere. He's a grand illusion.
Mm-hmm.
He's a trick of light and shadow.
Yes.
In my opinion, the greatest puppet ever created and performed was Yoda.
Oh,
because Yoda, it only took you about 3.5 seconds to buy him.
Yeah.
You went, oh, he's real.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't even think of, most people, well, when they want to mock Empire, they'll make fun of the puppet.
Mm-hmm.
But when you rewatch that movie, by the end, when he's floating the X-Wing around and all that other stuff, he seems like a living creature.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will accept him as that.
Yep.
And he is granted, he's a very complex puppet, but he is not much different than the puppets that I'm using.
Right.
And that was all Frank Oz. Frank Oz learned how to translate a human performance and put it in and have it all be within his arm and his voice.
Yes.
And that's what I'm discovering about puppetry, is that it doesn't just work on little kids. Adults still do it.
Yep.
They still will talk to a puppet. If you've ever seen a celebrity who goes up to a red carpet where Kermit the Frog or something is there,
mm-hmm.
people run up and say Kermit, and they give Kermit a hug.
Uh-huh.
Kermit is a puppet.
Yep.
He is made out of cloth. But people will never accept that, The only time I think people had an existential drama, it was when Jim Henson died.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden people realized, oh my God, that means Kermit's gone too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think that they would get him back.
Yeah, they thought, once the voice of Kermit was gone, that was all the way. Like,
well, it wasn't just that his voice was gone. It was that the performer who did him was gone. It's kind of like, I can't even think of. It's like when Shatner dies. When Shatner dies, the original Captain Kirk is gone forever.
Yes.
And no matter who steps in to play Captain Kirk afterwards, they're never going to be the same as the original James T. Kirk.
Right.
As the original Shatner.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing.
Yes.
Jason, you're making me upset.
Are you afraid the Shat's going to die?
He's just very emotional. It's that time.
Okay, no, that's all right.
Don't even go there, Packard.
I won't go there, Crystal. Crystal, Joe? Wait a second. Joe, did you have another quick question for
Of course
Jason?
I did.
Okay. I'm sorry. I almost cut you off. Go ahead. Do you have another quick question?
Jason, can you do the Jim Henson Stitch?
Yes.
Very good.
I have not. Now, here's the difference. I haven't mastered the Stitch.
Okay.
But I have done it a few times, and it's worked great a couple of times.
I'm sorry. What is the? What is the? I'm sorry. What is the
Very
Jim Henson Stitch?
And
I'm
not using the correct kind of fleece. You have to use a specific kind of fleece, which they've stopped manufacturing. So I don't know what I'm going to do. The Jim Henson
Studios
Stitch
has tons of it, so
a stitch that was it's kind of up in the air whether Jim Henson created it or if one of his puppet makers did. It is a stitch where if you take Antron fleece
Mm-hmm.
and there's a specific stitch that you can use. It's very close to a baseball stitch, and
Okay.
as you stitch the seam up, if you pull the stitch together,
Mm-hmm.
and then you fluff it up, the seam disappears.
Really?
So, for example, Kermit the Frog is a very simple hand puppet.
Mhm.
And if he hadn't used the baseball stitch, he'd have this big seam running down the middle of his face and up and over his head.
Right. He's a great example of the Jim Henson Stitch.
Yeah, he is, because you'll never see it, and you can see it if you are right next to. If you had the puppet out on your hand, you'd be able to see the stitch, but it disappears on television.
Yeah, that's a magic.
Puppets really are custom made for TV and for YouTube. I'm surprised more people haven't figured out how to use puppets on YouTube.
Yeah, well, it takes this very special kind of person to do that. It does, really, because you have to divorce yourself from yourself to put yourself into these character roles, and you have to step out of your mind into that.
I was doing that as an actor for years.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that as an actor for years and years, so it was a little bit easier to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to just come up with these characters and act through the puppet.
Cool.
Word.
Joe, do you have a last question? Then we're going to move on to Crystal. Then.
Oh man, I got a few questions for him.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay,
I'll do
real
really
quick, Jason. What did you think of the last Muppets movie, and have you seen the trailer for the next one?
I loved the last Muppet movie.
Hell yeah.
I think it's the direction that they need to go in.
Absolutely.
It recognizes their past. It's not, and it wasn't gimmicky. I have not seen enough of the next trailer to have any real opinion as to what's going on. But from what I've seen, it looks funny. Just so long as they never ever, and this was a rumor that they never become CGI, I'm happy. So long as they remain puppets.
Good.
They use CGI to remove the rods. The rods that connect.
I remember
Kermit's hands. Those rods. They digitally remove the rods so that you don't see them.
Well, that's normal. I mean, they used all sorts of trickery in Muppets Take Manhattan for Kermit to ride a bicycle.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about that one. That exact scene, as a matter of fact.
So if they use CGI to remove rods, that's fine.
It's a very complicated marionette rig with some robotics. It's an amazing thing. If you could, what's really, I think one of the reasons why people don't appreciate modern puppetry is that you never get to pan back and look at everything that it took to pull off a particular thing. Once you've established that these creatures are alive, a lot of people just take for granted that they're doing these things, and they don't stop and think, "Holy crap! How did they pull that off?" Because they think that Kermit and Miss Piggy and all these other characters are living. So when you see them riding a bike, you go, "Oh, okay, they're riding a bike. Look at that." Or when they're out in a boat in the middle of the lake, they don't stop to think, "Oh, Jesus, Jim Henson and Frank Oz are in scuba gear, nearly drowning."
Oh, they make all sorts of complicated stuff to hide the people,
Exactly.
I was going to ask you what your favorite puppet was. You answered Yoda. Real quick, I'm going to tell you my favorite puppet is Tom Servo.
Yeah, well, mine... Okay. I'm a Crow fan. Crow is my favorite.
Oh, you're a Crow fan.
Out of that group, I'm a Crow person. I love Crow.
Nice.
He's just a little harsher than Tom.
Is Crow the one with the big, that looks like he's got a big mitt on the back of his head there?
It's a hockey mask, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I actually got to go to the Mystery Science Studios and see the original puppets.
Oh, really? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh.
And my last question for you, Jason.
Yes.
My high horse has wings and flies me to the holiest places on Earth and then poops on them. What is your high horse like?
Referring to the last video he recently did.
Well, my high horse is actually an early horse called the Dawn horse. It only stands about 3 feet high, yet it can carry my full weight. Its name is Darwin. It can travel faster than the speed of light. And it never makes a mistake because of its infallible reason and logic. That's my high horse. Wait, this should become a movement. What's your high horse?
Crystal, do you have any questions for Jason?
No, I think Joe actually
asked all your questions.
Yeah, he actually did. But Jason, I just want to say I really do enjoy your channel, and me being a Christian in the group, I can't really say that I enjoy a ton of the channels. Sometimes of the people that we even have on here, sometimes some of that stuff's hard to swallow and hard to listen to, and you present it in such a way that it makes it enjoyable. And I also love the way you interact with your audience and the way you answer the questions and you give a shout out. You can tell that you have got a passion for this, and I just adore your channel. I really do. You do a wonderful job.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I you know what? It's not like I don't go out of my way trying not to insult people, but I don't try to do unfair. If I feel that something is unfair, I call it unfair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I feel that something is kind of crazy and it could be detrimental to people, I will call it that. But I just don't. My show is a kind of reaction to the other channels where they are just angry and they seem to have lost their sense of humor about things.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, it has a general feeling of like hopelessness to it, even though they may be trying to sound like they're taking back power, and I've always said, you're only 10% of the population. Shut up. Shut up. If you really want this fight, you're going to lose. Actually, this is not how you win friends.
Actually, we're about 18% of the population now.
Are we? Well, that's good. We'll still lose, Packard. If we got the war that some of these online atheists they seem to want. Because my dividing line has been, once you start using militaristic metaphors, I'm out. I'm gone. It doesn't matter who you are. I subscribe to a lot of Christian people who will point to other militaristic Christians and say, these people sound very dangerous. I'm the same way with atheists. When atheists start sounding extraordinarily dogmatic or make, some of the things that they've said, if you ever applied that in reality, they're monsters. They're they're kind of like children. They're insisting that atheism be accepted by everyone right now. Well, how are you going to do that other than rounding people up and putting them in camps? How can you, the dream is everyone will suddenly wake up and they'll believe in reason. I
dream about that every day, but then I go to work and I have to realize with everybody else.
Human beings change generationally.
Mm-hmm.
They do not change immediately. When you have someone who wants change immediately, they're called a dictator.
Yes.
That's when they say, what I say goes, everyone's going to do. That's what Pol Pot was.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I don't care what you're selling. The instant you want immediate change within your lifetime, you're not thinking realistically or logically.
Right.
To be quite honest,
I just ask ask people just to think about what they're saying sometimes.
Exactly. And that's all I ask for people to do is to think about what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that my skepticism isn't a threat to anyone's religion.
Right.
But there have been plenty of people who feel that it is.
Yeah.
I don't go around telling people what they should or should not believe. I don't like it when people tell me. So why would it be okay for me to tell other people?
Right, exactly.
It isn't, unless they want to challenge me, or if that's what they want. They want an honest debate. I made a comment to you. There's a reason why I think that I don't have I don't have any, as near as I can tell, trolls.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that when we were getting the audio set up.
I've had people disagree with me,
mm-hmm.
but I've never had people come out and just try to troll me to get me to fight with them, simply because I'm trying to, in a humorous way, show all sides and ask the audience the question, what do you think about this?
Right.
Because that's why it's called Opinionville.
Right.
I remember when I first changed the name of the show to Opinionville, people were like, Opinionville? What the heck does that mean? But it's like,
what the hell has anybody got an opinion about?
Yeah, and no opinion is right necessarily, and no opinion is completely wrong.
Right. That's why they're called opinions.
Exactly. And I like being able to have a bunch of different characters, each one with their own hang-ups.
Mm-hmm.
That can attack things from different ridiculous angles.
Mm-hmm.
I think today's was, the whole Puppet Jason being upset because popular YouTubers don't mention, the government shutdown.
Right. We don't have that problem. We're not a popular YouTuber yet.
No. But the whole thing is that at the end, he gets distracted by whatever it is that interests him. So his high horse is just as invalid as everyone else's.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, the day that I start becoming dogmatic and I start my videos start taking a very clear and single position on everything, I think it will be that's when I need to quit and rethink what I'm doing.
Yes.
Because I don't, one of the problems that I have is when they say everyone needs to believe what I believe, and I don't associate with anyone that believes in gods or gods. I'm like, really? So I guess your grandparents don't see you all often, or
Mm-hmm.
the people that you work with, or if I did that, I wouldn't see a lot of my family members.
No.
I mean, I love my grandmother. My grandmother went to church every day and prayed for me, and still loved me, and never told me not to do whatever I was doing or not to think whatever I was thinking.
Yeah.
She treated me within the tenets of her faith. and I respected her for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that more people would have just slightly more respect on both sides.
Right.
Slightly more respect.
Agreed.
Just, I don't hate theists. I'm not an anti-theist by any stretch of the imagination. I want people to have reasoned debate. And, with some people you can't have that. You can't have that with a creationist, I don't think. Because a lot of them seem to be arguing from a very insecure place. And I think they know it.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to attack. They like to attack and mock right off the bat.
Oh, I've dealt with those people like that in real life. It's very difficult to get them to understand even the real basics because they think something like a chair turns into a table or some shit like that. It's like what? Like that's not how evolution works. And but they don't want because they lack the understanding. It's called an argument from ignorance. They lack the understanding and they refuse to try to understand because if it's explained to them and they actually will understand it, then that throws their whole God theory out the window. And they can't accept that.
Right.
So
see, I'm not one of these people who believes that the only defense we have against them is mockery.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that our defense against, like, for example, people who want to push their religion onto other people, the only defense we really have is by making sure that our rights are still strong.
Mm-hmm.
So long as we have a functioning court system, we'll be okay. So long as we continue to argue rationally and reasonably, we'll be all right. This sudden turn to, well, they're going to mock us or we're going to mock them back. I'm just as guilty of that myself, but I try to do it so that it's more balanced. That if I'm going to satirize the mocking creationist, I need to satirize the mocking atheist on the other side.
Yeah, I've seen you do that too.
Yeah. I'm not saying that what people are doing are wrong. I just wish that people would... And I know there are lots of people on both sides who have taken the time to try to meet in the center. And lots of people have. I think what's really bad is that when you have the far extremes on both ends shouting loudly and fighting and arguing, they fail to notice that in between there are lots of people of both faith and skepticism and atheism who are friends. Close friends who accept that someone else believes something different.
Yep. Like here on the show, Crystal believes in a God and we don't. And some people was like, we give her... She's actually the only Christian on this show that she's an honorary atheist.
Boy, that must make you feel great, Crystal.
I've got the card to prove it, yes.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Sometimes she knocks on our doors and asks if she wants us to talk to her about it.
And I'm sorry, I've kind of gone off on a different tangent, but I mean...
That's all right.
I just felt that as a satirist, which is what I am at heart, probably more than anything else, I like satirizing the extremes of the arguments.
No, that's perfect because that's exactly what an artist should do. In your case, that's what's perfect. What you should do.
I mean, I will draw a line. I will say this is what I believe, but the show has a different morality than I do.
Right. Well, it's monsters.
Well, I mean, a lot of people want to think that the show is me, and I go out of my way to make sure that the show isn't me. I'm just as opinionated and flawed as anyone else, but I want to make sure that the show is fair.
Right.
That's why I don't do a whole lot of you don't see me standing there giving my personal opinion about things usually.
Right.
That's why I've created all of these different characters so that I can approach an argument from different directions. And I want to maintain that show remains that way. But I am not like that all the time. Or as much as... If anything, the show, believe it or not, with all of its infuriating characters, is what I want to be.
Okay.
And instead of what I am.
If
that makes any sense.
Yeah, in a way...
The show is fairer than I am.
Yeah, I could understand that, and it does make perfect sense. Crystal, do you have another question, or did you want to go to the chat
I just
room?
want to kind of add to what Jason was talking about. Me personally, honestly, don't listen, Packard. Put your hands over your ears real quick.
La.
Some of the times, some of these people that will go and review on these YouTube videos, I literally will put my hands over my eyes and kind of just half look, because I'm almost afraid of what I'm going to hear. I'm like you. I don't like extremism one way or the other, from one side or the other. It's not a way to win anybody to your side, and it's not a way to get people to listen and open up your mind and think differently and think rationally most of the time. But your channel and your artistry draws people into your channel. I've watched 2.5 hours of your videos today.
Oh, jeez.
It just drew me right in, and I'm just like that. I got interested in the characters, and I would have a conversation with the characters too, just like everybody else. And Miss Piggy is alive, damn it! Don't tell me differently. Next thing you know, you'll tell me the Easter Bunny's not real. Don't say Jesus, Packard.
I'm gonna take my fingers.
Thank you, Jason. I really have. I really enjoyed that today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So yeah, I every once in a while, my personal opinion does creep in. You will usually tell if Puppet Jason is really, really. There have been actually, you know what? It's Gary. If Gary comes in and he is so angry, that usually is something that I'm actually quite angry about.
Oh, really? That's
Usually, there are times where I cannot approach the other side without it being completely mocking, simply because I find their position so loathsome that I can't. And people have to understand, I'm doing extraordinarily broad caricatures of the far extremist point. I mentioned Cleghorn.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Cleghorn, the green one.
Cleghorn is the misogynistic, men's rights advocate. But what I mean by men's rights advocate, as in he believes that there is a female cabal that's that men are actually the lower tier in our society. Somehow, all the CEOs and all that other stuff, they're actually controlled by women. Don't know how that works, but
Well, hey, they don't if they don't do what the lady wants, and you don't get a little nookie later, then that just makes everybody cranky.
He's a race realist, which is a new age term for bigot.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing there. I am not interested in humanizing him. I am not interested in turning him into a sympathetic character, because those opinions, as far as I'm concerned, are so beyond reason and logic, and are just so painful to hear, that I will satirize them. But I'm not going to turn him into, like, for example, Fundy Monster. Fundy Monster started off as an extreme Christian caricature. Mm-hmm. And he became a fan favorite because I made him more three-dimensional.
He looks like a parrot.
Huh?
He looks like a parrot.
He's not a parrot.
I know, he looks like a parrot. I mean, he's got the beak and he's got the eyes.
He doesn't have a beak.
Well,
he has a big yellow nose.
Well, okay. To me, it looks like a beak.
But he's colored like a parrot.
Right.
He's colored like a parrot.
Right.
But I made him more human, simply because he was starting to represent something that I had severe sympathy for, and that was someone who was gay, that was growing up Christian, very right-wing conservative Christian in this country. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel like I wanted to mock that. That was a difficult enough road to hoe than having me pile on top of it and mock that.
Right.
Because I honestly did not hate the person that felt that they had to cover up who they were because they were afraid they were going to lose their family, their friends, their church, their community, their everything. Mm-hmm. So I changed Fundy Monster to accept, his homosexuality. And then what I did was I created a different persona for someone who represents the severe right-wing conservative
Reverend Pone.
Reverend Pone, who I don't mind. Keeping, I don't humanize him.
Where did you come up with the name for Reverend Pone, by the way?
Reverend Pone. People think I named him Reverend Pone as in pwn someone in the
That's what I was
term.
thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking just now.
I named him Reverend Pone after corn pone.
Corn Pone?
Yeah.
You
don't know what corn pone is?
No, I've never heard that term before.
Oh, okay.
Well,
that's what he's named after.
Okay. Who or what is corn pone? Just for our audience listening and myself who've never heard this term before.
You know what? I don't know. I think it's a food product. I know that I've heard of corn pone. I've never eaten it. It was like I had heard of grits, but I'd never eaten it, and then once I ate it, I never wanted anything else for breakfast again.
Connie in
Amen.
Connie in the chat room just said corn pone is corn cake.
Corn cake, thank you.
Or corn bread. Okay.
Cornbread. Oh my lord. Okay.
Yeah.
I've tried
grits.
The grits. Yeah, it's just.
I love grits. I love grits.
I
Grits are the shit, man.
With some butter and salt.
It's very grainy. It's for me. I've tried it. For me, it's very grainy. There's another.
Grainy.
Yeah, it's grainy. It's very thick.
There's
just
cream of wheat.
Cream of wheat. That's what it is. It's just very grainy cream of wheat for me.
No, it's not.
No.
I mean, for me, it was.
It's a little bit of wonderful heaven. I can't eat it anymore because of my diabetes, but man alive, I love that stuff.
Okay.
Sucks, doesn't it, Jason? I got it too.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Okay, good.
Okay.
We'll take some questions for the chat. We had one from Dawkins Dog. He says, Jason, do you feel more open to speak your mind via a puppet?
I feel I have no problems expressing my own personal opinions. I feel that I can express more with a puppet than I could just as myself. I'm more free to be able to, like I said, to approach things from different angles as a puppet, as a different personalities, than just as myself. Mm-hmm. When I'm stating something of personal opinion, I usually state, this is my personal opinion. When I'm writing for the characters, I'm writing from that person's point of view, from their perspective, which is something that if I tried to do that speaking of as myself, it would be play acting. Mm-hmm. So yes and no. That's an interesting question. I'm freer to explore a subject with the puppets than I would be if I was just doing it by myself.
Okay. Connie in the chat room, she asks, my question, where do you see Opinionville in a year from now?
I don't know. Maybe have 100 more subs. I would like to get, things come in, like I said, I'm doing everything alone. If this was a bigger channel, if I had more subs or if I had more views, I might be able to bring someone in. I have lots of friends in the theater community that would be willing to help out every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm pretty much producing this on my own. Mm-hmm. So to institute changes can take time. I would like to have better camera work, better sound. Mm-hmm. I would like to have more set work, more green screen work in a year. Mm-hmm. And of course, I would like to have more subscribers. Not because I want to make money off the channel or anything.
I do.
I know you do, Packard. But for me, I have the performance bug.
Oh, okay.
So I would be doing this whether I was getting paid or not. This is more than just my hobby. This is my heroin. And I need to do this in order to not kill people.
Right.
And luckily I don't have to break into people's homes and perform puppetry in order to get my fix. I can just, put it up on YouTube. I reach a much wider audience on YouTube than I ever did doing theater in San Francisco. Because when you do theater, it's a 3-week run. You're reaching maybe 2,000 people. I'm doing this every week and getting, around 400 views or whatever.
I could just see you just breaking in someone's house. Hey, I'm going to give you a puppet show, whether you like it or not.
Now shut up.
Now sit there and shut up and enjoy. We'll have some fun today.
This is Mr. Gun, and this is Mr. Knife. Say hello. We're gonna kill you. Shut up, Mr. Gunn. You're gave away the ending.
Connie also had another chat room question in the chat room here. She says, "Are there any puppets that you might make if money was not so much of an object?"
Money isn't an object; it's time. And yeah, there are lots of puppets that I would like to make. The big thing that's coming up on the channel, which I've been avoiding because it is yet another major project, is Funny Monster's marriage to Raoul.
Yeah, I've been kind of following that one. He keeps pushing
We can
it off.
only talk about it for so long until eventually we have to do it. Now, someone said, "Well, just do it as like afterwards," and I said, "The fans would murder me if they came in and if an episode started with what a great wedding that was." They'd kill me if they didn't get to see it. It's just when I'm doing plot lines that carry over several episodes, I kind of have to get the framework down, and before I can start doing it. And there are several puppets for that I need to make. Funny Monster has parents.
Oh yeah, I saw the Grammy one that came on.
Grammy Yum Yum was one. Actually, Grammy Yum Yum started as a voice that I was doing to my children.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'd walk into the kitchen and go, "Oh, my children, why do you leave Grammy Yum Yum in the living room? Why you for not talk to me?" And I said, okay, that's got to become a character. And I just went out, bought the materials, made the puppet that weekend. The puppet, she only took about 4 or 5 hours to make.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's not the cost, because the puppets usually only cost at most $25 to make.
Really?
Yeah. It's just the expenditure of time, because you're sewing all day. It seems like all day. And then you're dressing them and stuffing them, and hopefully by the time you're done, they look pretty much the way you wanted them to look.
I bet that helps you, when you're sewing up your socks later on too.
Grammy Yum Yum is made from 2 purple socks.
Really?
Yes, she literally is a sock puppet.
I couldn't tell, actually. I mean, just it's the craftsmanship is there.
What I've learned is I've developed a technique of using 2 socks to create a hinged mouth sock puppet. Most people think of a sock puppet, you put a sock on your hand and then you put a rubber band around it and you make a mouth. I actually construct a mouth for the puppet itself, and apparently no one else has done that. Or at least I don't know of anyone else that's done that. And I use the 2 puppets as one is an inside liner and the other one is the outside skin, and I, stuff it and, but she's just a pair of 2 purple socks from Kohl's.
Okay.
Pardon me.
That's okay. A Fishhead Cell in the chat room says, all in all, are you doing okay?
Yes. All in all, thank you.
You're welcome. Connie just says she loves Grammy Yum Yum. Maybe the wedding of Fundy Monster will be another collaboration one.
It will be another collaboration one.
Oh, good.
That one was fun. I have to admit, that was fun. And I was very pleased the number of people who were, I didn't have to ask for too many people twice. I didn't, I just sent it out and said, hey, could you guys do this? And everyone was more than happy to help.
Oh, you can count us in on that.
Okay, cool.
We'll be happy over here at the show to do that, too. So.
Okay. I might need a color commentator.
Joe's good at that.
Well, it's always one of the problems is that because I am the only puppeteer, I have to shoot things with one puppet in frame at a time. Very seldom do puppets ever appear in the same frame at the same time. And if they do, they've been green screened in together. And my dream is that for this big marriage episode that I actually do get my friends in to come in and do the other puppets, so that I can do groups of puppets and have a big Muppet style thing.
That's cool. I have a quick question regarding that. When you do the recording for the lines for multiple shots, do you just do all of their lines and then break and then and then just go to the next one, just record those and then slice them all together?
I set the camera. I put on the character, and then I will run through the lines, and then I will do a shoot take in which I will just read the lines and perform the puppet, and I'll be watching the screen on the camera to make sure that I'm getting I can't watch it all the time because I'm also trying to read my lines.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have enough time in the week to memorize the lines that I write. So I'm kind of glancing back and forth trying to make sure that he's still in frame, to make sure that my head is not in shot, which still manages to get into the video.
I've seen a few of the outtakes that you put on there. It's like, oh, there's my face. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
What are you doing in this shot?
The weirdest outtakes are the ones in which something happens and it's a genuine reaction from me, yet the puppets are still talking.
Oh.
That was first time I got it. I said, oh, that's a funny outtake. I'll put that in there. But the more I watched it, the more I was realizing I'm laughing and Fundy Monster is commenting on my genuine laughter. And that's when I went, psychologically, there's got to be something about that. It was the one where Fundy Monster was doing his abstinence only program at his church.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying a lot of things that he doesn't normally say, and something that he said really I could not get through the line to save my life, and I was laughing at the take. And I would be laughing, and I would have Fundy talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, come on, I only have one line left. And I'm genuinely laughing. This isn't a made-up thing. You have to remember, Fundy Monster is me. He's not a separate person. So if I'm laughing, I am laughing as myself and commenting about myself myself as a monster.
They have therapy for that now, I think.
No, but that's why I said there has to be a psychological component behind that.
Uh-huh.
Because I understand what it means to go deep into a character. That's one thing. To go deep into a character when you're an actor.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite another to be two distinct personalities at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm crazy and I didn't realize what I was doing. But what was surprising was how easy it was to do.
Oh, yeah.
So...
It's to separate yourself out from yourself like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's...
So when I'm performing the characters, they literally are becoming different characters to me. When I watch the videos, I laugh because I don't recognize myself as those characters.
Right.
You know, I don't watch Funny Monster and go, oh, I'm so funny in that. I think Fundy Monster's funny. Or I talk about them in the third person. I don't say, I could do that better. I say Fundy could do that better. Which is, and like I said, it's an odd place to be in psychological terms. Sometimes.
Yeah. Jason, we're going to cut it short here because the show
fun.
is already into 2 hours already. So
Sorry about that.
Well, that's all right. I'm just going to kill my computer, but that's okay. Usually we lose audio by this time, which we didn't happen this time, fortunately. So we've been very...
Thanks, AJ.
Take a wire out or something.
Yes.
Come on.
Somebody pull a wire.